Welcome to the Emerging Professional Series at the Coffee Conversation Show powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is analytics, acumen, and authenticity. In this episode, we sit down with Mohan Ramaswamy, co-founder and CEO of Rubix Data Sciences, a company revolutionizing how businesses make risk, credit, and compliance decisions. With over 2 decades of leadership experience across APAC and EMEA, Mohan's journey spans high impact roles of industry giants like LexisNexis and Dun Bradstreet. From driving mergers and expanding global operations to launching data driven platforms, he's built a career grounded in clarity, integrity, and purpose. Tune in as we unpack the mindset behind his entrepreneurial leap, the lessons from his corporate climb, and what it truly means to lead with insight in today's fast evolving business world. And we also come to know Mohan as a person. So, welcome, Mohan.
Thanks a lot, Amir, and thanks for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to speak to you and also to the audience.
So, let me explain you. There'll be three rounds: professional journey, personal, and a surprise rapid fire round where you'll be in the hot seat. You have to be witty, fun, quick, and here's your inspiration AI in the corporate workforce.
Cool.
So let's begin the first round. Freedom line Amir Virani, host at Coffee Con Legal Tech Evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. So my first question, Mohan, how has the journey shaped up and what were the key defining moments you had?
Cool. The journey so far has been, good to say the least. They've been both good and tough times, I must admit. As it happens in a professional career. But the past 25, 28 years have been quite rewarding, I must admit. The experiences in MNCs or in the corporate world have been quite different from what one faces when you have your own sort of setup or startup. So and of course, as we progress, I'll take you through the difference in working styles or patterns that one faces when you are in an MNC and when you're on your own. But pretty much it's helped me become hopefully a sound professional and a better human being. And every experience, as they say, is quite rewarding, and mine has been no different.
Wow. So let's build up a conversation. With your extensive experience in APAC and EMA, how do global perspectives shape your approach to business in India?
Cool. So, in MNCs, and when you are exposed to being part of the leadership team across regions, in my case, earlier, I mean, I was part of EMEA, and in another occasion, I was part of the Asia Pacific leadership team. So, what typically happens in when you're part of such groups is that on one side, of course, you're responsible for for the business in your jurisdiction, but on the other, you participate in leadership meetings and forums, where you also have leaders and key stakeholders from other regions there. And typically in MNCs, again, when you work in an MNC, there are both positives and negatives or challenges, if I may put it that way. It's all about. I mean, when it comes to Europe, you learn about how strong they are with respect to compliance and emphasis on quality. When it comes to Asia or rather Asia Pacific, you get to see how they serious they are about speed and speed of execution. And when it comes to India, it's all about agility. So you get the best of everything from different markets, and you try implementing that in your own setup. So I think I had the best of both worlds. When I was in MNCs where I had access to the best of the resources, capital was not a problem, was never a constraint. But on the downside, there were also challenges in terms of whether it was around bureaucracy or around decision making. Given that India is is a market where you prefer to be a little fast-paced and agile and quick. Your decision making gets derailed significantly given the number of steps you need to cross before you take a decision when you are in a corporate or a MNC setup, and that's what we don't have when you are on your own and pretty much and when you are part of a startup, right? So but those were all experiences. Of course, you try to take the best out of what you experienced into and making the best of what you've encountered and trying to also unlearn what you think is not the most optimum and devise the best rules of engagement when you have your own setup. So the experience therefore has been quite enriching, and it's helped us and the team when we built our own business a few years back.
Wow. So, Mohan, what's your take on balancing organic versus inorganic growth in today's competitive landscape?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I was again, I was fortunate to experience different M&A transactions at different point in time. It's not just to do with a transaction happening. The experience also has got a lot to do with some of those decisions that you didn't take when you were evaluating businesses either in India or overseas, right? So, and I was quite new to the M&A world, and given that those there were times where you companies didn't have an M&A person. Some of us had to double hat into owning up that part of the responsibility as well. And I think for a company, it entirely depends on the stage of growth that you are in, right? So you may want to be in a particular space, and organically you've been able to build a business to a particular level or encompassing the product lines that you could be in. But in order to fill the gap, sometimes organically doing that may take you longer than otherwise, and that's where you could perhaps fill that gap by looking at inorganic opportunities, right? So it's extremely important to make sure that there is good fitment in terms, not just in terms of products, but also in terms of mindset, culture, the execution capabilities of the team that you're looking at onboarding, so on and so forth. And that is exactly what we experienced. Of course, there were a couple of occasions where we went wrong. There were a classic case in point where we let go an opportunity that we should have ideally pursued. Because in an MNC, it's not just your word. There are multiple stakeholders who give their opinions, and we had to let go an opportunity. And today, that company is one of the most sought after companies in the Indian environment. It is listed. It's very well run, and it's got a market cap that one would die to have. And so I mean it's been good, but again it depends on what states your business is in and what you would want to do as a result.
Wow. So, Mohan, how has your leadership style evolved from your corporate days to now being founder CEO?
Cool, interesting question. And in fact, I was just chatting about this with someone the other day. And there is a distinct difference between the way you tend to operate when you are in a corporate or an MNC vis-a-vis the way you operate when you're on your own, pretty much, right? So if it's a corporate or an MNC, it's all about structure, process, and scale, right? So like I mentioned earlier, you have unlimited sort of, I mean, access to unlimited resources, access to the best practices, access to capital, so on and so forth, right? But at the same time, there is also bureaucracy. If you're someone who prefers to take quick decisions, who prefers to be agile and fast, the process will take forever to help you take decisions quickly, right? So, of course, there are both the goods and bads. Uh, so the leadership was very different when I was in a corporate or an MNC setup. I have also been faced with situations where the decisions that you end up taking locally were guided, right? It was not a decision that you would have taken had you been the sole decision maker. But given that there were other stakeholders, you had no option but to take those calls and also execute those decisions on the ground. Whereas when you have your own setup, and if the product or the idea is strong, then obviously you have, and if you have a good team, then you have flexibility, you have the ability to take quick decisions, and so as a result, your the style of your leadership style changes significantly, right? And today I am part of a setup where there were, I mean, we were four co-founders, and of course a very strong management team now that are pretty much involved in the business. So there is no, I mean, of course, there are titles on paper, but there is no hierarchy when it comes to execution. We rely on each other's strengths a lot. We know what our weaknesses are, and we fill in there to make sure that ultimately the customer expectations are met, the decisions are quick, and wherever, if at all we falter, we know how to get the situation back on track so that you stay honest with respect to what ought to be done for the business. So that's how my styles have changed, over time in across these organizations.
Wow. So now let's come to your Rubix. What a story. I'm dividing two parts, Mohan. What a story behind naming your startup venture as Rubix Data Services. And second part, you built Rubix from the ground up. What was the gap in the market that inspired its creation?
Sure. So, again, both are interesting questions. When we were part of the data and information world, we clearly saw that customers wanted decisions to be, wanted help in terms of providing them information and predictive indicators that enable them take decisions quickly, right? They were not willing to wait for hours or days and weeks for them to take decisions. They wanted it to be technology enabled so that it can seamlessly get into their sort of ERPs that they may be working with. And of course, cost was a constraint. There were times where they were very selective with respect to decisioning products. They wanted reports and information only on the top 20-30% of their customers or vendors that contributed to 70 or 80% of the business. Those days are gone, right? And today, uh, they want to mitigate the risk to a great extent, and therefore, they want support and decision making on pretty much across all of their customers and all of the suppliers and counterparties they work with. And that is possible only when you have a tech enabled solution. We knew that the market was huge because every customer, be it a bank or a corporate or a financial institutions, needs this. And so we had to devise or develop a tech enabled platform where all of these were we could provide this in the most cost effective manner. And there were times earlier, I mean, earlier times were one where it used to decisions, I mean, or reports, etc., or information used to largely be static. And those days are gone where, is given that information changes so rapidly, you had to provide, dynamic decisioning abilities so that, our customers could also take decisions on the move. And that is what enabled or resulted in us establishing Rubix, which is a technology-enabled information and analytics business. We are there in the entire life cycle, credit life cycle, right from KYC assessment to risk assessment to monitoring, and also facilitating B2B collections for corporates. And the idea of naming Rubix or the company as Rubix was predominantly evolved from the Rubik's cube, right? I mean, where it is just like the Rubik's cube. I mean, the situations, one encounters situations that are complex, and you look for solution providers who simplify the complex situations into meaningful insights, so that that enables or facilitates in quick decision making. So that was the idea behind us, naming this venture as Rubix Data Sciences. It's a data science company because it's all about data and insights that we derive, which enable customers take quick decisions. So that was a bit of background about how we led to forming Rubix and what we do, in terms of working with different segments of and different stakeholders in enabling them take the right decisions.
Wow. So, Mohan, Rubix serves decision makers in risk, credit, and compliance. How do you see the future of business intelligence evolving in India?
Yeah, man. Again, interesting question. And for the benefit of the listeners, I think this is a massive opportunity because, if India today, I think is around, I mean, is a $4 trillion economy and has aspirations to clearly be amongst the top three in the next few years, right? In terms of the overall size of the economy, etc. And for that to happen, imagine the number of transactions that banks across will end up doing, corporates will end up doing, other financial institutions, insurers, etc., will end up doing and underwriting. So, and they will not be able to do that unless they are supported with the right insights that enable them take decisions. And that's where the opportunity lies, right? And like I mentioned earlier, given the scale and the pace at which all these stakeholders would operate, they would want to take faster decisions, offered, I mean, in a very cost-effective manner, and ones that where it is authentic and correct, so that they can focus on what they know best and leave the enablement to service providers like us, right? So I think opportunity is massive. India is in a very, very sweet spot as far as the rest of the world is concerned. We also hear about the chaos, or we see the chaos that's happening around the world. Geopolitics is at the worst, when it comes to trust between nations. So when there is volatility, when there is chaos, then that's where service providers like us or companies like us step in order to by way of providing insights on businesses and real-time insights on businesses, so as to facilitate our customers take the right decisions.
Wow. So, Mohan, many young professionals look up to startup founders. What's one myth about entrepreneurship you'd like to bust?
Cool. I mean, the common myth about startup founders or the management team is that that you are your own boss and you don't have to report to anyone else. And typically in MNCs we've seen, or in corporates we've seen, that there are layers, and you have to, and each one thinks differently, and therefore it becomes difficult. And most of the people who leave, as we keep reading and hearing, is because of some conflict or the other with the bosses. So it's a myth that uh, the management team or the founding team, is their own boss when it comes to a startup. I honestly think when it comes to us, we have innumerable bosses, or there are innumerable stakeholders that we are answerable to. First is the team, because the team has trusted you, has trusted us, which is why they are part of the business. You have your investors, who wants to see you grow, and who obviously want to see an ROI on the investment they have made. You have your customers, because they have trusted you with helping them resolve the problems that they were faced with in decision making, right? So you have to make sure that you you satisfy the requirements across different stakeholders, and therefore it is, this is a lot more challenging than otherwise, right? So it is, and but that's where the fun lies too, right? So but you have flexibility, you have, the ability to take quick decisions. You are not bogged down because of any bureaucracy. And so while it's a myth, you have, honestly, you have a better situation that you are in, to make sure that you do a good job.
Wow. So, the founder in the analytics space, how do you keep up with emerging technology like AI, ML, blockchain?
Very interesting question, but I am not the right guy to answer this, because although we run a tech-enabled business, I'm not that techie, but at the same time, we have a very, very strong team, a tech team, and of course my other colleagues who understand this better. Whether it is AI, ML, or any kind of automation, it is extremely important in our scheme of things for all the reasons that I mentioned earlier. Because you want to make it faster, you want to make decision making faster, better, authentic, correct, and at the in the most cost effective manner. And all of this will not be possible unless you keep pace with the technology changes that happen for the better. So there are teams that keep an eye on all the new developments that happen, and we have a team that focuses on researching, those options. And once we find them to be the most apt for our business, then it doesn't take long for us to put that in action. But you are absolutely right. As a business that is, uh, tech enabled, you have to keep pace with all the developments and the changes that keep happening from time to time.
Wow. So, my last question for our professional journey round, Mohan, what advice would you give to tech uh, professionals who want to transition to become tech entrepreneur?
Yeah, the if you look, if honestly, there are two things that I would want to suggest. One is, of course, if you are looking at stepping into business, I'm assuming you would have the right backing in terms of the knowledge, experience, the idea, the capital, so on and so forth, right? But there are two things that actually matter a lot, when you decide to jump in. One is the ownership mindset. You cannot get bogged down with what you encounter in a corporate, where you know what you are expected to do, and you will do just that for the most part, right? So here, each one of us, it's not just the founding team or the management team, but each one of us need to come with a ownership mindset. This is our business, and this is something that, so whatever comes in the way, I will make sure that I solve it, so that we are able to please our customer, and rather delight our customer in the best way possible. So that mindset, so whatever you need to do in order to make that happen, you should be open and willing to make that happen. That's one. Second is emotional maturity, right? This again is extremely, extremely important, because we tend to get, as humans, we tend to get bogged down if things don't work, right? This is the way I thought, we will get to see the outcome, but it may not happen that way, right? So you have to have the emotional maturity to just step back and then take a breath and realize that fair enough, your decision has not gone the right way. You need to step back and then realign with respect to what you need to be doing, so that you can course correct and take the right decision. So that level of emotional maturity is something which will come with time, but you need to approach that with an open mindset and not get bogged down by the fact that, oh, I have ended up taking the wrong decision. Maybe I am not cut out for the job. For or to do something on my own. So, these two things, if you are able to manage for the most part, I think and with the rest of the stuff in terms of the idea, capital, the resources, the people, and all of that, I don't think it's going to be difficult for anybody to become an entrepreneur.
Wow. So let's go to next round and understand Mohan as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
Yeah, so I come from a South Indian background, and I'm currently I mean we are a family of four. My wife, two children. Of course, my the extended family is my family. My parents, they're quite old. 86 and 81, and I look upon them as my what do I call it? I mean, they mean a lot to me because my father is my idol and my mom is someone who's my protector. My brother, who we recently lost again, was someone who was my confidant, my cheerleader, and also my what do you call it? Someone who will show me the mirror at all points in time. But we still believe that he is with us and guiding us all the time. My sister, my nephew, niece, I mean, all of them. My in-laws. So we are a very close-knit family, and I rely on them because when you are down, of course you have your close friends to rely on, to fall back on, but you always have your family's backing, right? So we are a very, very close-knit family. I mean, if not for my wife, who supported me in every step along the way, I don't know where I would have been given the stressful times that I've been faced with at different points in time. So thankful to God for giving me such a wonderful family.
Wow. So which is that hobby or interest which helps you to unwind and recharge?
Yeah, I'm a sportsman, and I love all kinds of sport. I've had a wonderful childhood, as most of us from our generation have had, as we spend most of the time playing. Sports is what has actually nurtured me to be the human being that I am today. And I used to play a variety of sport. My favorite being football and tennis thereafter. But chess, table tennis, tennis, etc., and football. These are some of my favorite sports, and I also love to unwind playing. When after a stressful day, I'd love to play a game of table tennis or maybe tennis. Now I have just slowed down on tennis, given issues that I mean, knee issues that you're faced with. But sports is a big stress buster for me and something that is the best hobby that one can ever have.
Wow. So which is that family tradition or ritual that ground you no matter how busy life gets?
No, so anything to do with the family, I try and make myself available and make time for it. Honestly, there have been times where I have missed out on important occasions, because those were the formative years, and where responsibilities were massive, and some of those, you couldn't even delegate to your team, right? So there have been times where uh, I've had to miss out on a lot of those rituals. But over the past few years, I've made sure that uh, I I don't miss out on important occasions and important gatherings and get-togethers. And like I said, I'm an out and out family man. I don't like to party. I'm not a night animal. I prefer spending time with my family and doing my bit for the overall betterment of my family. So it's all about family for me, uh, Amir.
Wow. So if your friends were to describe you in three words, what would they say?
Friends, I mean, If my friends were to describe me,
Yes.
okay, they might sort of term me as a dependable friend,
Mhm.
uh, as someone who is emotional, and perhaps someone who is hardworking and a family man, and therefore
Mhm.
gives excuses as to why he cannot make himself available all the time.
Wow. Okay. So, is there a book, movie, or show that resonates with you deeply or reflects your journey in some way?
Okay, interesting. May not be a book. I'm not that avid, a book reader, but given my, penchant for sports, a variety of sports, I was particularly intrigued by this movie called Invictus. And this was a movie on about how, Nelson Mandela used rugby as a sport to unify a divided South Africa. And it's such a brilliant movie, and it caught my attention because I am also a firm believer in how sports, unites people, whether it is your team or society, and how I mean you can. There's a lot of application of what we saw in the movie uh, at work as well. Because sports is a leveler. It is something that can bring about a fighting spirit in people across teams. It also helps you bring about that strong binding in people, because you come across, it's not that all of us are the same, right? We're all different. We think differently, we act differently, we conduct ourselves in a very different manner. But when it comes to sports, we figure out a way to play together, to gel well together. Only then will you be able to get the desired outcome. So that movie was extremely, it was hard hitting, and it resonated with me so well, because I'm also a firm believer in the
Mhm.
fact that sports can do a lot of wonders, both in your personal life and also in your professional work.
So, my last one is a googly one. Describe Mohan in one line.
In one line, I would say, perhaps I am a professional at work, uh, a learner at heart, and a human always.
Wow, beautiful. So, let's put in the hot seat, Mohan, the rapid fire round. Your go to comfort food.
Uh, Simple roti and cauliflower sabzi, or
Wow.
paneer, as a matter of fact.
Data driven decisions or gut instinct.
Gut instinct.
Wow. Strategy meetings or field visits.
Field visits.
Your favorite color.
Blue.
One business leader you admire.
Mm, Ratan Tata.
Best piece of advice received.
Sorry, best piece of advice
Best piece
received.
of advice received.
सबका सुनने का, करने का, खुद का.
Your dream travel place.
Dream travel is always India. Any place in India is a dream for me, because I am a, what do you call it? I'm a very I love India, and I love visiting. Across the country. I'd love to explore the country as much as possible.
Wow. Last one. Tea or coffee to recharge.
Coffee.
You're the coffee show. Let's restart.
Cheers on that front.
Cheers. So you did well, and here's a book, AI in the Workforce.
Thanks a lot, Amit.
Yeah. So thank you, Mohan, for bringing such sharp insights, grounded wisdom, and absolute authenticity to today's conversation. Your journey from global leadership roles to building Rubix with vision and resilience truly hits different for every emerging professional tuning in. Your clarity on risk, analytics, and the future of business intelligence adds a fresh lens to how India's next gen workforce can think, act, and lead. It's been an inspiring deep dive, and we hope all the viewers, all the listeners will enjoy listening to you. So, to our audience out there, stay curious, stay driven, keep leveling up with every conversation. So, like that, there are 800 plus coffee speakers who have shared their professional, personal journey, insights. Subscribe to the Coffee Con Show on YouTube, implement those insights, and see the changes. We meet with another speaker or a cup of coffee. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. Good luck to all of you and Godspeed.